Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness. Something of a predated scene. A little timey-wimey. We're doing Rage Across New York and setting scene on the Sept of the Green, where we're totally pretending it's last night. Admittedly late into last night. Wherein 10 Point has taken the time to have a smoke with Aiden and go to the lake with him for a little bit, and then, did a nice little case of the BRB while he was spaced out and floating, and went and had an aside with Felix, and has not put up her walls because that would draw attention, but has had quite the lively little bit of interaction there, and afterwards has retreated, has healed herself up, has reflected on what happened, and once she was a little more stable, once she was a little more sure that it wouldn't leak into the link in any way that would draw too much attention, she will go ahead finally and come back to the lake. Maybe a little quieter, maybe a little more reserved, since she's got a lot on her mind. But with the moon full up and her packmate just kind of floating, probably, she imagines still spaced out of his mind, she will just casually come back to the lake in the dead of dark and start wading in to collect him out, as she has made something of a habit of doing lately.
You notice he's actually stripped off most of his clothes. You can, as 10 Point passes into the lake, you'll see that he's taken off most of his clothes. So he's in like a pair of shorts and stuff. He's kind of floating, but he seems more kind of arms behind his back type of thing. It's not that spaced out like dead to the world float that he was doing.
She'll take note of it, but probably not think too much of it. He's been in the lake a lot lately, so maybe this time his clothes will stay dry. Crazy thought, that. So she'll just kind of wait out, looking to check on him and probably see if she needs to fish him out and take him back to the cabin. It's getting late.
I'm assuming she comes up right beside him, right?
Mm-hmm.
The eyes won't open. Oh, hey, 10 Point.
Hello, Ryan.
You took a while?
There's a casual shrug. She'll reach over, stroke back some of the hair from his face. It was nothing.
Okay.
How are you doing?
It's nice out here.
It is.
You'll sit up, you just steps forward, Again, he is still very, very shaggy, but the hair kind of matted and all that around him, as he looks around.
You ready to go in?
No, I'm just staring out at things. It's nice to stare out at things at some point. You watch people. I like the people watching them that, away with things.
Then again, she's not going to think too much of it. She shrugs acceptance and kind of eases into the water a bit. She's still got her feet under her, just not on the bottom of the lake. Kind of a sitting float, as it were. Because, she's already waist deep in the lake. She might as well just accept it.
I don't know. I seem to have a lot of time on my hands lately.
Well, you don't have the patrols anymore. It's opened up a good bit of your day, Ryan.
Yeah, opened up a good bit of my day. Watching people go by. Watching the world go by some days. Do you know?
And this, of course, conjures up in her head the image of him, when he's sitting on the edge of the bed, just kind of dead to the world, smoking and staring out the window. Which, it kind of calls up the image in her mind, and hardly the best associated mindset. Maybe a tinge of worry.
mean, all this sitting around, well, things seem to get bigger and bigger. It just, yeah, my mind seems to wander with things.
Don't worry too much, Raya. There's always more to be done.
Worry. More like I'm eager to get out there. You know, the problem I'm noticing with the Guardians is that we're always restricted to here. You kind of gesture around. Like, he's still, there's probably like a tinge of that stoniness to him, not as heavy as he usually is. This kind of arm kind of just flops a bit, but he's nowhere near as spaced out as he usually is.
Now he's been letting it wear off.
Yeah. So he kind of looks around again. Problem is they're restricted to here. Do you know?
She nods idly. But you're not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. One person can't do anything. They just sit there, pacing around the same place again and again, and yet the problems outside keep getting bigger and bigger. We have no warning of this thing coming. We had barely got warning in time. In fact, we don't know a lot, do we, out there?
I haven't taken full reports yet from all the other packs. But one person can still be eyes in the city, Raya.
I'm saying there needs to be a group of us out there. Maybe even a team that maybe reports to the Wormful himself. His people. I mean, that's his job, right?
And she gives a nod of agreement. Makes sense.
What use am I and the other Ragabash being put to? I say very evenly, like not like aggressively, but like listening to her opinion.
Not nearly what you could be, Raya. It's not a bad idea to have the two of you out in the city. Keeping an eye on
Even if you
things.
have like someone like Felix, a Theurge, who's well introduced in the city, any Theurge that is capable of understanding the city. If we needed a room, we'll bring in a room. But two Ragabashes and a Theurge who know the city well and know the ins and outs, who can move to places, even set up maybe little bits of outposts. Like I have an apartment in the Bronx. What are we using? Nothing. We never use it.
She eases back up onto her feet. Kind of sluices off some water. Glancing towards the skyscrapers that are just past the tree line. It's not a bad idea, Raya.
The Guardians here are restricted to Sept. Some of our best warriors have to stand around and wait. But we just sit here every day, pacing, watching, and watching. And the people who should be out there are not even out there. There's no direction.
It seems that in times of war we go full defense. But no, it would be good to have a scouting corps. To have a group who was intended to do these things. We get reports from kin, but they can only see so much, right?
Exactly. I've noticed that watching people here. Everyone's content with one thing. It's driving me mad.
Have you spoken to the Wormful about it?
Wormful's leaving. Do you think he's going to be worried about this?
The Wormful's leaving, Raya, but until then, this is his duty.
I might. I think we should maybe have it in place before he goes.
Speak to Felix at least, Raya.
I was thinking so. Kind of rub the back of his matted hair. Come here.
She just eases over. Doesn't think much of it.
Puts his
Hell,
arm
she'll
around
tuck
her.
up under his arm, yeah.
I want to thank you, by the way.
There's nothing to thank, Raya.
No, there is. You've been good helping me. You, Felix, Eric, Dallas, all these people. I want to thank you.
was just a kind of a pleasant warm, like not even a pulse per se, just kind of a pleasant warmth in the pack link.
He'll lift up her chin so she looks him directly in the eye. Like even just stroking the sides of it with his fingers.
Yeah, no resistance.
There's something I want to say to you though.
That's right.
I still haven't forgotten. 10 point.
And there's a brief kind of puzzled expression, and then her eyes get really big. And
she'll feel the tug of her hair, the back of her head. Say that tug is sharpening slowly.
And yeah, he feels especially with an arm up around her, he'll feel like she tenses up, and then is being pulled back by her hair, and yeah, at least initially, it's going to kind of follow the hand.
Do you think I'd forget?
And there's almost like a mental scramble going on as she tries to reorient to the abruptly changed situation she's in.
Did you think I was weak enough to forget?
I didn't think you were weak, Raya.
But you thought I forgot though, didn't you?
And she kind of purses her lips in a bit and doesn't necessarily say, but like how keyed in is he on her in the pack link, or is he just kind of reading whatever she puts out?
Oh, he pushes. She feels like a force of a weight hitting the pack link.
I mean, she's got no walls. It's very clear that she herself had kind of maybe just a little bit forgotten.
Oh no, 10 point. That's how you let it in. You were doing so well.
I was just very concerned, Raya.
Ah, no, it's shh. He put his finger on her lip. I know. I'm not giving out to you. Do I sound angry?
A tiny little head shake, however much she can pull off with the hand in her hair.
No. But a lesson must be learned, shouldn't it?
And she kind of pauses. And again, there's a mental scramble taking place as she tries to assess how exactly that's going to happen. He's out in the middle of the lake. He doesn't have any weapons on him. He doesn't seem like he's keyed up to punch her.
And she'll feel his hand touch the mark he gave her.
The scramble kind of slows. And she finally gives a light nod. A bit tentative.
And what is the lesson, 10 point?
Not to show disrespect to Mariah.
Well, there's another one.
And there's the kind of reaching. She tends to be pretty good at the educated guessing game.
I'll let you figure it out. And back of the head just goes straight down into the water with extreme force. Like he spends rage to do this.
I assume he's just wrenching her down by that fistful of hair.
Yep.
Yeah. Considering if he pulls back hard enough and wrenches, yeah, it'll tip her back off her feet. She's like waist deep in the water. Her balance is only so good.
And he will shift up to Glabro and hold her there for about approximately a minute and a half.
And yeah, she thankfully kind of gasps at the initial yank just because it hurts. And lands in the water and gives a bit of a thrash meaning to right herself before she realizes the hand is still holding her down there. And now there's another hand holding her under the water. And there is a brief struggle, and then acceptance, and some stillness under the water. And then as they get on a minute, she begins thrashing again, kind of putting up a good bit of splashing and kind of pleading through the pack link as her lungs start to burn.
And once the those probably dreaded 30 seconds of that past that minute, he wrenches her back up, holding her, and she sees he is in Glabro form, staring at her intensely.
And all things considered, after a minute and a half, I'd say the average person usually by then has started sucking down water. So she will come up coughing up a partial lungful of water and sputtering and wheezing and just kind of weakly, yeah, just coughing and gasping and trying to catch her air again. She's not even looking at him.
So you're going to disrespect me again?
There's a rapid head shake as she continues to kind of smack herself on the chest and cough up bits of water, kind of retching.
I can't hear you, 10 Point.
So she'll answer through the pack link. Nora.
And what was both lessons you've just learned?
And with a last little bit of coughing and some wheezing as her lungs kind of desperately work to pump air back into them. She'll finally start standing herself properly upright, feet this time braced more firmly on the bottom of the lake. Not to disrespect Myra, and not to forget.
Why don't you remember it again? And back down we go.
And yeah.
Another minute and a half.
It's a little harder to picture over that time just because she kind of at least knows what to expect. And has her feet braced, and let's face it, really doesn't want to aspirate the lake. It's not a thing that she wants. But in that instance, he'll have the greater strength. He'll pitch her under the surface again, and this time at least she doesn't lead with the struggling, but again, as it presses on a minute, she begins kind of grasping at the hands that are holding her under, and in that final 30 seconds starts struggling and thrashing and trying to get herself up over the surface again.
And I'm gonna go roll some strength because I'm gonna be bold, and I'm a bold person.
Well, in that case, let me set up a thing. Not there. When did that happen? That happened in the early AM. So I'm going to set it in extra dice roller 1.
It's a strength brawl roll because he's gonna bash you down. Oh, jeez.
Well, all right then. I will
2,
at least look and see if I have enough dice.
6.
That's literally more than I have dice.
I mean, all that Glabro power, you know. Glabro power.
So yeah, she can flail around and she can kick up some water, but she isn't going to be able to break the surface while he's pushing.
I mean, I'm gonna roll some damage out of that because that's one hell of a slam.
Yep.
1, 2.
I mean, is he like bearing her all the way down to the bottom of the lake?
No, he's just basically pushing her down, like basically pressing down. If you get me, right in the throat.
Ooh.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, jeez. It's gonna hurt depending on damage wise. One, two, three, four.
She doesn't soak any of it.
That's
And
4
is
bashing.
starting to suck down water, so she's probably at like 5.
Yeah, and then she just comes out of the water, then lifts her up by the throat, like just out of the water, holding her up.
He will potentially have a hard time holding on to her by the throat, not because she's struggling consciously so much as because between the damage and taking in water, she's again starting to hack and wheeze and spit out water, spit out a bit of the lake, and is probably clutching tightly at his arm just out of the desperate need for air.
Are you gonna forget?
She can't even really compose it into words into the pack link. Just definitely gets a rush of what essentially is nonverbal. Just definitely a no. Summarily. But there's definitely a frantic edge going on as she is, especially with a hand around her throat, trying desperately to breathe. Kind of clawing at the fingers.
Once he gets the nod, he sets her down and puts his arm around her. Good. Consider this a lesson I had to enforce more harshly than I normally like to. After all, don't want you to think I'm getting soft in my methods to make you safe, do you?
And let's face it, she's very distracted with trying to put air in her lungs again. It's the frantic, rapid wheezing and panting. Just because even though she may be getting air now, a moment ago she wasn't. There's however a tiny nod of understanding as she kind of is bowed over, occasionally hacking and gasping for breath.
He will relax down to Hamid and look at her. Because I don't want this Sept to think that Aiden Lynch Krause is anyway not capable of doing what he needs to do anymore. Do you know what I'm saying, 10 Point?
And how much of a hand or arm or whatever does she have on her at this point?
Like his whole arm, like he has his arm around you, looking down at you with a big smile on his face. Well, not more or less a smile, it's more kind of just, I would say it looks like a smirk, but it's no way sadistic. It's more this kind of determined, I would put it as, this kind of grim determination about him.
And it just kind of through the pack link because she can't spare the breathing. Just, yes, right.
Well, good. Hope I didn't scare you. Basically, he starts leading her out of the lake.
Yeah, he knows he scared her. It's right there. It's on the surface. She shook.
Now, let's go home. And if she feels too weak to walk, he picks her up and everything, picking up his clothes.
She's a little gangly-legged, not for lack of ability to walk, but just very shaken. Though she will not stop him if he goes to scoop her up.
Yep. Back to the pack cabin for the night.
So with that, he can pick up his wet medicine, his dry clothes, and yeah, head back to the cabin for the night. How big?
Yeah.
She will, even though the trend has lately been that, especially when she's scooped up, especially when she's held close, she usually calms down pretty readily. In this case, she will maintain a good bit of tension, even as they're walking back. Not struggling, not fighting to get down, just a little tense. And unless you would like to do more,
No, that's good.
I guess we'll say thank you, players, for playing and watchers for watching this somewhat predated, post-dated, whatever the hell, scene for Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.